NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. If approved, applications are typically funded the next business day or sooner. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
This is your before and after story. Southeastern College can help you prepare for a secure and fulfilling career in the growing healthcare field. We offer a wide range of careers to choose from. So whether you want to be a medical assistant, medical billing and coding specialist, nurse, surgical technologist, or another healthcare career, we've got you covered. Become a vital part of a healthcare team and make a real difference. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.
This is the Pooja and Gurdeep podcast.
From 98.1 CHFI Studios in Toronto, Canada.
Hey Toronto, this is Ed Sheeran.
This is Kelly Clarkson.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
This is Adele.
This is Madonna.
It's Michael Bublé, and you're listening to the Pooja and Gurdeep Show. It's fun. They're amazing.
Hard to believe, but it is our 200th episode of our podcast.
Vegas was taking bets saying, will P&G make it to 200? And the overwhelming favorite was no. But here we are. We beat the odds.
Yes. And for this episode, we wanted to do something a little special, a unique podcast, if you will, because sometimes you hear stuff on air and you know the stories that happen in our lives. But there's also stuff that happens behind the scenes that we never talk about on air that we're going to take this opportunity to do on our 200th episode.
Yes, sometimes the stories are just a little too involved and require too much detail and real estate to be able to tell it. In most of the segments on our show are 2 to 3 minutes. They need more time, and some stories maybe just aren't necessarily appropriate for the radio. So we save that when we have the time and hopefully your permission to tell you some of these.
So we have 2 stories. You have one. I have one. Yours involves your move last year. You moved from your condo to another condo. Mine involves buying a minivan. And both of our stories, believe it or not, involve getting in touch with the cops.
Yeah, that's the common thread between our stories. They're pretty dissimilar stories, but the common thing linking both of them is we had to call the police. Why don't you start, Pooch? Tell us what happened.
Okay, so if anybody knows me, they know I'm a car girl. I love cars, okay? I've always loved cars. I grew up on Auto Trader. I was that person who was just...
We're talking like not online, autotrader.ca, the magazine. You buy this from a convenience store.
I used to get them for free, I think, actually. And I would go through and try to pick out what my dream car would be. And, you know, at the time it was like a Ford Probe. Like I was really...
That sounds more like a medical examination and less like a vehicle.
I know. Like there was
what is the Ford Probe?
The Toyota Supra. Like those were the days.
I remember.
Anyway,
Probe.
I
Be
love
careful
cars.
when you sit down.
I love cars. And if you asked me if I would ever buy a minivan, I would have told you never in a million years. Like, not going to happen. Nothing against minivans. If you're into it, that's great. It's just not my thing. Not something I want to be in.
Minivans are sexy.
Not for me. Not for me. They're very practical. They do the job.
But practical is sexy.
Not for me. So when I got a minivan, it was a big deal. And the only reason why I got a minivan is because of what happened months prior to me getting the minivan.
To be clear, like you had told me on air and off air before this thing, you're like, I am under no circumstance am I ever getting a minivan. I don't like minivans. They're not for me. And something so compelling happened to make you buy a minivan.
Yes. So I drove an SUV and I was coming to work one fine morning around 4:30 a.m. And I was driving and I noticed in my rear view that there was a car that was pulling up behind me. We were at a stoplight. And instead of pulling up behind me, it last minute changed lanes and pulled up beside me. So I looked to the side and it's got tinted windows, but I can see there's some people in the back seat. Don't think much of it. Light turns green. I start driving. They slow down and then get back behind me and start following me. So now I'm driving for a couple of lights. At each intersection, they're still behind me. I go to make a left turn. They make a left turn. And then all of a sudden, they start speeding behind me, like riding the back of my car, almost like they're going to hit it. And so I start speeding up, not knowing what's going on, like what's actually happening. And then it gets to the point where I can't even see their headlights. Like that's how close they are
smoke.
to behind my car.
And just to set the scene, at this time of the morning, there's almost no cars on the road. So when you see another car, you kind of make eyes with everyone because who's on the road at 4:30?
For sure. And so I'm just in panic mode. I don't even really know what's happening. Like adrenaline is kicking in. They're speeding, so I'm speeding so that they don't hit me. And we finally get to an intersection and I turn right. And as I turn right, they turn right, but they go around me, cut me off. So now they're completely blocking my vehicle so that I had no choice but to stop.
This is terrifying.
It was like a scene out of Fast and Furious, and I've watched all of them.
Was it Vin Diesel?
It was not Vin Diesel.
Okay.
But in that moment, my instinct, which is probably the wrong thing to do, so I do not recommend this, was to get out of there. So even though they cut me off, I took my car and just went around them. Like I actually drove around them. I saw a well-lit gas station.
Did they get out of their car?
No. Okay. Luckily, this all happened very fast. So before anybody could even get out of their car, I just went right around them, went into a well-lit gas station. And I thought, okay, if they're going to take my car or rob me or do whatever it is they're going to do, I want to make sure it's in a well-lit area. There's cameras at this gas station. At least there's a gas attendant in case anything happens. That's what I was thinking.
That's actually good thinking, I feel.
I turned into the gas station. They took off. I was terrified. My heart was racing so fast. My knees were actually shaking. Like I shouldn't have been driving the car at that point. My very first instinct was to call you.
You called me, which
called you.
is also advice we don't recommend if you're under duress. So I had just gotten to work and I was walking. There's a long walk we have from the parking lot across a bridge to get to our studio. And I was on the bridge and I felt my phone vibrating. And I'm like, who's calling me at this time? I figured it must be one of you two, but we text. We don't really call at that time. And I see it's Pooja. I answer it and you're panicking and you're telling me, you're like, I'm at a gas station. This is what's happening. What do I do? And I'm like, initially I'm thinking this couldn't be happening in real time because I'm like, you'd only call me if the situation was resolved. And you're like, you won't believe what just happened. Mm-hmm. But I realized as you were telling this to me, this was still a fluid situation that was not resolved yet. At which point I asked you, why the hell are you calling me
yes.
and not the police? I can't do anything for you from here.
And when I told my husband this story, he's like, why the hell are you calling Gurdeep? Like, why didn't you call me? And I'm like, because you wouldn't have picked up the phone at that time of the morning.
Sleeping.
He was sleeping. And yes, calling the cops was the right advice. That's what I should have done. We ended up talking to our friend Cam Woolley.
Yes.
It was your advice. You're like, call him, just ask him what he thinks you should do in the situation. Because I was sort of just left with, what was that? What just happened? And so I called Cam Woolley and he said, 100%, this was an attempted carjacking. This is what they do. Sometimes they'll chase you. Sometimes they will actually try to hit the back of your bumper so that you're forced to pull over. Then you get out and then they take your car.
Like, you think it's like a fender bender and you're just going to deal with it and then they steal your car.
Yes, but they didn't know that I watched all the Fast and Furiouses and that I was a speed demon.
Did you say Furiouses?
Whatever.
The things I'm going to do for my country.
And then I could do donuts and get around them. They didn't know. They didn't know my skills. Okay? I'm making light of it.
You are ludicrous.
I'm making light of it, but I just panicked in that situation and did what you do when you panic, which is not always the right thing. Speeding wasn't the right thing. Not calling the cops wasn't the right thing. In hindsight, I know better. So his advice from Cam Woolley was to call 53 Division and report it, which is what I did. Filled out the report. They also said the same thing. They confirmed this is a classic attempted carjacking and that I was lucky that, nothing happened. And that next time the advice when I'm in that situation is to call 911. And I said, but it wasn't an emergency. And they're like, it was about to be.
Yeah.
It was about to be.
That doesn't qualify as an emergency?
Well, they said that it does.
Yeah.
You call them, you tell them exactly what's happening. You're being chased. You tell them what vehicle you're in so that even if you are, God forbid, carjacked or something happens, at least they can send a cruiser out for somebody to come get you or to come meet you. There's help on the way.
Yeah.
So that was great advice. Literally a few days later, I'm driving to work and it happens again.
Yeah, this is when I couldn't believe it. When you came into work, this time you didn't call me, thankfully, but you came into work a few days later shaking and told Steph and I the story in real time about you being attempted carjacked again.
Yes, this time it wasn't as scary as a car chase. However, there was another vehicle following me.
Different vehicle?
Different. Well, actually, the vehicle looks similar. The vehicle looks similar.
At the same time. So it's probably the same people.
Yep. And this time they made a U-turn to go out of their way to follow me. And I ended up going in a side street and I lost them. But that panic, just that immediate like rush of, oh my goodness, what am I doing, was enough for me to go, that's it. Can't have nice things. This car is not that important. I don't care if I'm a car girl. I don't care what car I drive. What I want right now is to be invisible. I want to be able to drive and nobody look at me and nobody think I want that car.
And it was a luxury SUV that you had. It was a very nice car, and you decided, I know how much you love that car.
Yes.
It was a beautiful car.
It's just a thing. Who cares?
Right. And you decided after that second one, you're like, I'm done. I'm going to get rid of this.
Yes. And I had to think about my kids. What if my kids were in the car? Like I couldn't risk being in that car and ever being in a situation, because as we know, it doesn't really matter what time of day. And at that time, carjackings were rampant. It was happening all the time. I think it's slowed down a lot since. However, I wasn't willing to take that chance. And now I'm very happy to be in my minivan where nobody sees me. I'm literally invisible. I will tell you a quick story. I was waiting for you and some other friends at the end of a street. And I texted you all saying, hey, I'm here. I arrived early. I'm in the white minivan. Just in case you don't see me, I'm in the white minivan. You guys all showed up, passed by the white minivan. Nobody said hello. You literally did not see me. That's how invisible I was.
So success.
Mission accomplished.
Listen, that minivan I see in the parking lot, it is sexy. It's a winner.
It's a great minivan.
I see you, Pooch.
It's a great minivan, but that is the story. The cops were involved. You also have a story where the cops were involved.
Yeah, that's a wild one, Pooch. I'm glad you're okay. That is super scary. Like, my heart is pounding just reliving that.
The Pooja and Gurdeep Podcast.
Lowe's knows that no matter your paint or stain project, saving is at the top of your to-do list. Save now with buy one, get one half off select paints, stains, and primers from top brands like Valspar, HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams, and Cabot via Visa gift card rebate. Find more Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 5/15 through 5/28.
This is the Pooja and Gurdeep Podcast.
Yeah, mine's a little different, but the cops were also involved. So, as you guys know, I moved last year. I'd been in a condo for about 13 years, and I moved to another condo. And lucky enough that I decided to rent out that old condo instead of sell it, to rent it out. So my real estate agent friend listed it, and thankfully on day one, the first person who came through met the rent asking price and decided to take it. So I'm like, great. This is, if you've ever been a landlord, it's a tough time when you don't have anyone renting a place. It's an insecure time. You want to get it rented out. So when you meet someone and they're good on paper, everything works out, you're pretty happy. So
especially because you're carrying more than one property now and you're worried about future expenses.
Yes. And to mitigate risk, here's one thing I do. Maybe this is a helpful tip if you're a landlord or aspiring landlord. So the real estate agent does all the checks and balances, like the credit check, the employment reference, the previous landlords. Do their finances check out? Do they make enough income to make the payments monthly where there shouldn't be a problem? So once the person clears through all those hurdles, I put in a stipulation in the lease that says I get to meet the person and basically do what I call a gut check test, where I meet the person, and if I get a bad feeling about them or they don't check out, then I have the right to pull out of the deal. And all I'm looking for in this is I just want to look someone in the eye. We literally always meet for coffee when we do this. We'll look them in the eye, have a conversation, just get a gut check of whether they're a good person or not. And I learned this from a friend of mine who's much older, who's landlorded for many years. And the thing he said to me was, when you meet someone in life, how quickly do you know when you meet someone whether they're an a-hole or not? I'm like, pretty quickly. Like, you kind of meet someone, if they're a good person or they're not your people right away, right? I'm like, he goes, that's the main skill you need for landlording. He goes, just rent to good people that you feel it out with. I go, that's simple but good advice. Great.
See, I would be horrible at this. I'd just be like, they're all great. They're fine.
You have to take off the rose-colored glasses before the meeting.
Got it.
So I met this guy. He was a 27-year-old guy.
27.
27, young.
Okay, young.
Now, his finances, this guy worked in tech and was making, get this, $300,000 a year. So making really good money. So right away, I'm like, okay, this seems wild. Like, good for this guy. I mean, part of you was kind of jealous. I was like, this guy's doing well. So I met him.
Well, what part of you didn't like? That wasn't a red flag for you?
Well, I mean, he works in tech. So I'm like, for people who work in tech, like, it's not unreasonable that you could be making that much, right? So I looked at he's worked at a bunch of the big tech companies. He's worked in the States, worked in Canada. So I met him, and sure enough, look at him. He's a young guy. He's really charming. He speaks very well. He knew what I did, and he had a bunch of intelligent questions about media that I'm like, oh, those are really good questions for someone who doesn't actually work in media. And so I got a really good feeling from him. He seemed like he came from a good family and all that. And I just said, look, I've lived in this place for a while. I just want someone who's going to take care of it like it's their own. And he goes, I was raised by a single mother. She was a cleaner. Or she is a cleaner, and he goes, our house was always immaculate because that's what my mom did, and it was just the two of us, and the place always had to be clean. He said, I've actually had a girlfriend break up with me because I'm too clean to a fault. Like, it bothered her how particular he was about the way things had to be. And
Do you know what this sounds like? This sounds like, when you go for an interview and they're like, tell us what's a fault that you have? What's something that you need to work on? And it's like, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Where, you kind of say something that's negative, but it's actually a way to
positive.
Talk about how positive you are. That's what it sounds like this guy is doing.
Yeah.
He's in a job interview. He's trying to impress you.
Yeah, really. And the thing is, too, he goes, the only thing is, I have a dog in the dog sheds. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm a dog owner. But that made it almost more believable because if you're trying to seem like the perfect candidate, you probably say you don't have a pet, right? Because that can be a red flag for some people. So I walked out of the coffee shop and we chatted for like 45 minutes. I actually walked away going, this guy feels like a guy who could be a friend. Like, I'd actually hang out with him. And he told me he wanted to get into landlording down the road. And I was thinking, like, well, if you want me to, like, mentor you at some point, because I've been doing this for a few years now, I'd be happy to continue that relationship. You're just trying to keep a good relationship with tenants to the point where you hope they respect you, you respect them, and you keep it 100, right? So I walk away. I call my real estate agent immediately. I go, let's sign the deal. This guy's great.
First person, though. You haven't interviewed anybody else?
For this place, no. He was the only offer at that point. It was the second day. But you got someone good who's willing to pay your asking price. You meet him. They check all the boxes. You don't let that one get away. That's generally how it operates. So I felt good about that. Great. We tie a bow on it. It's all done. And he paid first and last month's rent. And things were good for a couple of weeks. So I get a phone call from the condo management while I was on vacation in Istanbul with a buddy. And I get a phone call from my old condo. And they say, hey, did you agree to let your tenant sublease the unit?
Sublease?
Yeah. And I go, no. And they go, well, we have an agreement, a sublease agreement signed by your tenant and signed by you that says you've agreed to let him sublease, and he's found a couple to sublease to.
Hang on, did you sign anything?
No, absolutely not. And I go, excuse me? I go, hold on. I go, can you send me whatever documentation you have? They go, yeah, absolutely. So they send it over to my email. I look at it. They have a sublease, and I'm doing air quotes right now, signed by me. They have screenshots of a text exchange between the tenant and, air quotes, me, the name Gurdeep, that him asking me, do you agree to let me sublease this? And I'm texting back saying, yes, I agree to let you sublease. There's that. And basically they go, this is proof that you agreed to let him sublease. But they called me, the condo called me because they go, we found it a bit odd that you would agree to this because we know you just renovated the condo and we wanted to call you to double check. And I'm so glad they did, that they took the extra step because I absolutely did not do this.
So hold on. Are we talking about forged documents here? Like forging your signature,
Yep.
a fake text exchange? All of that's fake?
Oh, and also one more thing. There was also screenshots of an email exchange between Gurdeep Ahluwalia and the tenant. So he created an email address under my name. So 3 bits of proof. And so I get off the phone and my head is spinning. And here's the other thing. He's agreed to sublease it out for less than what he's paying me on rent monthly. So my head's in a million places. I'm going, he subleased it out for $800 less than he was paying me in rent. So I'm going, hold on, he's losing money on the sublease. He hasn't told me anything. He's created a fake email account, a fake signature, and a fake text exchange. My head's going 1,000 places. So before I do anything, I call my real estate agent while I'm in Istanbul. And I'm like, this is what's happened. What the heck is going on? He can't figure it out either. While we're talking about it, I get a call on the other line from the tenant. He calls me.
Okay.
And I answer the phone. And I go, what is going on? I don't think I asked that nicely. I think there might have been some expletives in there.
Right.
And he goes, I'm so sorry. I know you're on vacation. I'm sorry to bug you with this. He goes, here's the deal. The company I work for is in California. My arrangement was to work remotely. They just said they need everyone to be in office 3 days a week. COVID rules are easing, which I know is a thing. And he goes, I didn't want to bother you with all this because I know you're away. So he goes, I thought the easier thing to do would just be to sublease it to someone. So this way, I'm mitigating my losses and you still have a great tenant and everybody wins.
Oh, and also I'm going to throw in forging some documents just to make everything easier.
And that's exactly what I said. I go, you've committed a crime. I go, you impersonated me. I go, I could terminate the lease right now just based on that alone. And he goes, I know, I'm so sorry. I really love your place. I was trying to save you the hassle. I'm really sorry. I would never. So he's making his case. I get off the phone, my head's spinning, and I'm like, do I believe him? It's kind of believable, but also, why would you forge signatures? I still can't reconcile why he's losing $800 a month. So that part's making me believe maybe he's being genuine. I'm kind of 50-50 at this point. So then I think about it all while on vacation, and I call him back and say, look, you've broken my trust. Here's how you can regain it. At this point, he's just paid first and last month's rent. I go, what are we going to do here? And he goes, okay, look. He goes, this is a couple of days later now. And he goes, I've called the company in California and I've pleaded my case with them. And I've told them I really don't want to be in San Francisco. I want to be in Toronto. They've agreed to give me an exception and let me stay in Toronto. So I'm going to stay at your place. I'll tear up the sublease. I go, okay, so now you're not subleasing it anymore. You're going to stay here. He goes, yes, they made an exception for me.
Okay.
So I go, okay, but you've broken my trust. I'm feeling very uneasy about this. I go, here's what we're going to do. I can still terminate the lease based on what you did. Here's what you need to do to regain my trust. I said, I need you to send me 6 months rent right now in an e-transfer. Send me 6 months rent right now so that I know you're not going to pull some shenanigans on me.
6 months. Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. But my real estate agent said I'm fine to do that because the alternative is tearing up the lease because he's breached the contract.
Right.
But I go, this is a sign of good faith that you're going to be there, you're sending me 6 months rent, and that you're not going to flake. He said, I can't do that, don't have that money. I go, okay, send me 3 months rent. He goes, can't do that, don't have the money. At this point, I'm getting really sketchy because you make $300,000 a year and you don't have 3 months rent to keep the trust if you really like the place and you've already done what you've done. So at this point, now the red flags are going off and I'm like, okay, this guy's a fraud. You have to get this guy out. So I'm figuring out my next move, and then I'll take you to where this was in the timeline, Pooch. I get back from Turkey, and we were supposed to meet up for me to collect the rest of the rent checks, the 10 outstanding post-dated checks.
Oh, dear.
Right? So we set a date to meet up, and I'm already going in with like guns a-blazing because this has all happened. And on the morning of, he texts me to be like, hey, can't meet up today. Okay,
of course not.
So let's pick another date. So we choose the following weekend to meet up. I'm texting him. He's not confirming. And then he comes at me on text with, hey, I actually went through our lease. There's nothing in the lease that stipulates it has to be post-dated checks. I'm just going to send you e-transfers. And I go,
oh, dear.
You're quoting the lease? I go, the same lease that you breached by forging my signature and impersonating me, you're quoting the lease now. He goes, yeah, you're going to get monthly transfers. I'm not giving you 10 post-dated checks.
So now he's like copying an attitude.
Yes. So then.
Now you're seeing the other side.
Now I'm seeing the other side of it. And now every fiber in my being is like, you need to get this guy out of your place. Then, Pooch, this was around the time you and I were going to Disney for work. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
This was February now of last year. So you and I are in Disney. You and I are in the middle of an interview
with Mickey.
With
I'm
Mickey.
just kidding.
It wasn't Mickey. It was a Disney rep we were interviewing. In the middle of this interview, my phone starts going off, and my phone's on the table, and I see that it's the condo again. The condo management's calling me one more time.
No.
And at this point, the condo had reached out to me saying, he's such a sweet guy. Give him a second chance because this guy is a real charmer. He's a pro. So he's gone to them with his sob story, and they're telling me he's a nice guy. Give him another chance. He just made a mistake. So I'm like, you guys don't understand. This guy's got something else going on. I can feel it in my gut. The condo now calls me, and they say, I call them back, and they say, all right, you have a confirmed fraudster on your hands. And I go, I knew it. I go, what happened?
What did he do?
And they go, we just received 3 more subleases that he signed for your unit. And instantly, it all made sense. He was renting it out for $800 less, but what he was doing it on volume. So he underpriced it. He listed it on Kijiji. He was getting multiple people to come look at the unit. And because it was so under market, people were jumping at it. He was collecting first and last month's rent from multiple people. So yeah, he's losing $800 per couple, but he's doing this with at least 4 to 5 couples that I know of. There could have been more that he didn't submit to building management.
Who gave up their first and last thinking that they're going to be there
Yes.
for at least a year.
Yes. And then he ghosts them. And as soon as I heard this, as soon as we got back from Disney, as a landlord, you have to serve 24 hours notice that you're going to come into a property that you own to do a check. So I basically sent an email and a physical notice saying, I have concerns about the state of my unit, so I want to come look at it. No response from him. And at this point, he's not responding to any texts. He's blocked my number. It's zero response. So I go there, Pooj, my heart beating with security. I don't know what I'm going to walk into. I'm thinking the unit might be trashed. I don't know who's going to be in there. Are there going to be different tenants in here? What's the situation?
And how do you break the news to them that, by the way, this is not a lease? Like you don't live here.
Mm-hmm. So I go in, and I just renovated this unit. So it was brand new renovated. I walk in. The unit is completely untouched in the state that I left it in. He never moved in. It's immaculate, which was a big relief. But the guy never even moved in. He was just showing up, pretending to be the owner, he was doing the tours in person with potential renters, collecting their checks, and then ghosting. So before I even had a chance to call the police that day, I get a call from the police because one of the people who had been scammed called the police to report what had happened. The police looked up the owner's name, which is me. The police called me and started questioning what I was up to. And then I go, you got the wrong guy. I said, yes, this is happening, but here's the person who's doing it.
And then you had to get into the whole story.
Get into the whole story, tell them the story. And the police said the one mistake this guy made is usually when this is a very common scam, but the one thing this guy did that was quite stupid is normally you don't show up yourself and show the tenants the unit because multiple people can ID you. I had his license. I had all his info. I sent that to the police, and they told me that there is a warrant out for his arrest.
Wow.
And that they would contact me when he had been arrested. I wish I had a more positive update for you. The police have not contacted me. It's been over a year now. So the latest information I have is that he is still at large, but I got him out of the unit. I got a regular good tenant in there now. And
there's a photo of him that police are aware of. He's probably running other scams. Because look, for him to be able to check out even on the real estate agent side of things, that was all scams too, right?
Fake credit score, fake, I'm assuming
fake everything.
He doesn't work in tech, fake landlord references, all the things. So it's a cautionary tale. Like, landlording is risky. It's great sometimes, but despite everyone's best efforts and intentions, you got to be very, very careful. This is the first person who has passed my gut check test, which has not failed me in the past, but this guy he is a pro.
Wow.
And police also told me they couldn't get into specifics. They said this was not his first rodeo. He has been arrested before for an unrelated crime.
Wow. I mean, the scams are just getting more and more intricate. This is not something that I would be able to piece together as you were telling the story to know that this was the outcome.
Yes. And one little other wrinkle to the story, there was a girl on Instagram, because me and the guy had followed each other on Instagram initially. We had a common girl, a girl in common, a girl I know professionally. And I actually DM'd her during this and said, hey, like we're friends, but like Instagram friends. We'd never spoken on the phone. I said, hey, do you mind if I call you? I have a question to ask. So she's like, oh, okay. She DM'd me her number. I called her and she was like, yeah, hey, what's going on? I go, super weird question, but do you know X? And she's like, yeah, kind of. Why? And I go, well, he's scamming me right now and I'm trying to get him out of my place. Can I ask how you know him? And she's like, yeah, we matched on Hinge. And we were talking and we were supposed to go on a date, but it never happened. And I go, so you never met him? You don't know anything more about him? She's like, no.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah. And I go, well, if he ever circles back and tries to slide into your DM, here's the kind of person he is, so don't.
Wow. Happy 200th episode?
Happy 200th episode! Cautionary tales.
Yes. Getting our gut checks fixed.
Is the sound of the police? Whoop, whoop.
I was thinking more bad boy. What you gonna do? That's where I was going.
That's good. We'll let Steph add something in post.
Okay, got it.
Thanks for listening to the Pooja and Gurdeep podcast.
Listen to Pooja and Gurdeep live weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Only on 98.1 CHFI.
Toronto's perfect music mix.